Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a review and a tutorial using the new Tati Beauty eyeshadow palette. I am actually so excited for this video. This is the first palette I've actually been excited for coming out in a very long time. So I don't know how much you guys know about Tati Beauty in general, but it is vegan, cruelty-free, and 100% made in the USA, people. So how this palette is set up, which I think is pretty cool. I have not seen a palette done like this ever, and it's 6 shades and there are 4 textures. So we have all the shade names down here and the finishes on the side. I think that that is extremely cool. This is definitely a palette that I probably, if I like the formula, will use every day. These are definitely my everyday colors. I am very basic when it comes to like my normal looks. So I'm hoping that these shadows perform as well as we think they will. So I am going to insert some swatches here so you guys can see some of the shades a little bit up close. You know, I know a swatch doesn't tell it all, but I thought I would show you guys what it looks like on the arm swatched before we go in with some crazy eyeshadow look. So the first shade we're going to swatch is Memory. That is the black shade in the palette. Then we're going to be swatching Ritual, which is like a nice warm brown. Then we're going to be swatching Story. That is a nice burnt orange. Next is Soothe. That's a nice warm taupe brown. Next is Aura. That's just a nice bone shadow we can set our primer with. And last but not least, Poet. That's a nice dark burgundy in the palette. Now that you guys have seen all of the swatches, let's go ahead and get into the actual review, the nitty-gritty of how these shadows actually perform. So we're going to start this tutorial like we normally would with a transition shade, and I'm going to take Soothe in the matte shade on a Sigma E40. And the one thing I do like about this palette is this mirror on here is huge. It is humongous. So if you're someone who is on the go or wants a good palette to travel with that has like everyday neutrals and a mirror, I definitely would recommend this palette. We are just going to start by applying this in our crease. So we're going to just go back and forth, windshield wiper motions in the crease. We're going to take it all the way in and all the way out. I'm also going to drag it down a little bit on this outer corner. And once I have nothing left on the brush, I am going to blend upwards towards my brow bone just to soften that line. I am honestly putting no work into blending this eyeshadow out. This one is extremely pigmented. It is extremely smooth to blend out, so that's nice. I feel like matte shades can sometimes be a little bit chalky and a little bit drying. As for fallout or kickback in the pan, I honestly do not think it's too bad. There is some on the outside, actual like fallout, but as for my face, I don't have any, which is good, especially with like pigmented matte eyeshadows. I notice there just tends to be so much fallout that it like ruins my actual foundation, but with that shade, it's good. Next shade we're going to be going into is Story, and that is the matte orange. And I'm going to be taking that on a Sigma E35 brush, just picking up a little bit so we can set this in our outer corner. This look is probably going to look like a similar makeup tutorial that I've already done, but we're really just testing the eyeshadows to make sure that they perform. So please don't think that this is going to be some innovative look that is very different from what I normally do. I'm just trying to test the shadows and see if they perform how they should. So we're going to take this also all the way in our inner corner like we did with the first shade, and just keeping this one slightly lower. I don't want the orange to go all the way up. I just want it to have a little bit of definition and a little bit of color. Same technique as before. When we have nothing left on our brush, we're just going to buff the rest of those shades together. So far, I am not putting any work into making these eyeshadows blend together or being pigmented. They are so buttery, they're so creamy, they really do blend together so nicely. They're not powdery, they're not patchy. They are really smooth across the board, as you guys can see with this eye. I mean, the eyeshadows speak for themselves. So after we blended that shade into our crease, we're going to go in with the matte shade Poet. And I'm using a small tapered E45 blending brush. And I am just going to deepen up this outer corner a little bit. So far, I am so obsessed with the matte shades that they have in this palette. I haven't used any of the other shades yet, which I will, but for the matte shades, they are so impressive. Just the way that they blend on the eye, just the way that they're so pigmented, and the way that they just work together is so good. Like, they are really nice shadows. And then I'm just going to take this brush that had the orange shade on it. We're not going to add any more orange. We're just going to kind of run over where those two meet. So we've only used the mattes so far. So I am going to move into the sequin category, and I'm going to use Memory, which is the dark black shade. We're going to use this on the outer corner. I'm not really sure what sequin shades actually are. I've never really seen them. They look like a matte shadow with legitimate glitter in them. So I'm going to go ahead and use this on a small pencil brush, and we're just going to apply it right in our outer corner. I'm going to really leave it right out here. I don't want it to be too far into my actual lid. I just want to use something to deepen this up just a little bit and give me a little bit more definition. So we're just applying a little bit of that because there is so much pigment there. And then I am just going to start slowly working that in so we can blend it out. And I slowly and lightly am just bringing this into the crease. Like, I'm not really noticing like a crazy amount of shimmer coming from it either, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to take that brush that we had and just kind of buff out these edges just a tiny bit. So far, with the shadows that are actually this pigmented, I am really surprised that there really is no fallout, nothing that you guys can see. Close up, I see just a tiny smidge. It's almost not noticeable to the naked eye, which is crazy. With shadows that have this much pigment and all of that, I am shocked that there isn't more fallout. Okay, so the next shade we're going to use on our actual lid is going to be the shade Aura, and we're going to use the actual metallic shade for that one. And I'm going to use it on a Sigma Cream Color E58 brush. And we are going to be spraying my brush just to see how it performs that way, using some Makeup Forever Mist and Fix. You can use MAC Fix Plus. You can use, honestly, whatever you have at home. Honestly, even water works just fine. So I'm going to be taking this all over my actual lid. This shade is just a nice cream highlight shade. This does have a lot of shimmer, as you guys can see. Like, spraying the brush just makes it a little bit more on the metallic side. So that's really pretty. And then I'm going to take this brush again with the Poet shade and just tap over where those colors are supposed to meet so they just have a seamless blend. So the reason that I decided to apply such a neutral metallic shade down is so we could pretty much go in with whatever glitter we wanted to use. So we're going to use the same Aura shade, and we're going to be using our finger for the glitter. So I'm just going to take it on my finger and we're going to apply it just right on our lid. The one thing is I really am not the biggest fan of glitters like this. I just feel like they get all over the place. It's probably best to put like a glitter glue down before you apply this, just so it sticks better and you don't really have, you know, the glitter kind of flying everywhere for the next 6 days and you're trying to get it off your skin. So I think I probably would recommend using a glitter glue. It did go on pretty smooth though, and it's not super chunky. It just looks really pretty. Another little tip I have for you guys with these glitters is do not press too hard in the actual palette itself, because I'm noticing that I'm not pressing that hard, but I'm starting to get like a little bit of like a dent where the rest of the product on the side is kind of moving back, and I really have only used it on both eyes, and I have not been putting a lot of pressure on it. So just be careful when you're using those. Really do not dig your finger in there, or you're really going to displace a lot of that glitter. So just be careful. I'm just going to dust away some of the fallout that we have from either the glitter or the eyeshadow, so then we can finish up our eyes. So we're going to go into the Matte Memory shade on a smaller flat definer brush. I'm just going to apply this right against my lower lash line. We are going to smoke this out. So I'm just being careful that I don't apply too much, because then we're going to look like we have got raccoon eyes. Then I'm going to take the Poet shade and we are going to blend this out. Just with extremely light pressure. I don't want it to be super purpley because I am going to go in with just one more shade. So I just want to use the purple to blend the black out so it's not so harsh. Now we're going to take this same brush and a little bit of that Story shade, which is the orange, and just apply it right at the actual edge of the purple with a really light hand, just so we kind of mimic the color story that we have going on in the top of the eye, and it just makes the eye look come together. I'm going to take a little bit more of the black shade just really out here and dragging it down just a little farther than I did in the inside, just to give it a really smoky effect. So now I'm just going to apply my lashes off camera, and then I'm going to come back and tell you guys whether this palette is worth your money or if you guys should just save it. So I know I forgot to mention in the beginning, this palette retails for $48. So you do get 24 eyeshadows in this palette. So $48, I honestly don't think that that's bad. It's just $2 a shadow, which for the pigment and the way that these shadows work, honestly $2 for them is a crazy steal. I mean, the James Charles Morphe palette is $39, so this is really only $10 more than that. And I just feel like this feels a lot more heavy duty. It just feels heavier. It just feels like it weighs more. It just looks super luxurious. I mean, this really looks like a high end palette. I think it's very sleek. This is like some, I don't know, weird material that I can't really describe, but we're not here for the material, we're here for the actual shadow. As for actual shadow quality and pigmentation, I had issues with none of them. All of the shadows I used, which I tried to use as many as I possibly could, they all came out really nice on my eyes. They blended really smoothly. The pigment was impeccable, and there was no fallout. Well, there was a little, but very minimal fallout. And for shadows that are this pigmented and as beautifully as they blend, I am very shocked that there wasn't like some fallout, or like these shadows didn't fall short somewhere. I have nothing but good things to say about this eyeshadow palette. I definitely think if you're really wanting to step out and purchase a palette for yourself, I think that this is a really good start if you're someone with, you know, very little makeup, or if you're someone who is a collector, or you're just a makeup artist. I think that this palette is really good. You do get your staple neutrals, but you also get a little bit of diversity. You have mattes, you have shimmers, you have sequin shade, you have glitter. I mean, you do really get a lot on this palette, and I really like how she did it. I think this palette is a little bit more unique than the things that I've been seeing lately. She took 6 shades, and instead of making like a palette with 47 shades, she took 6, and she came up with 4 different formulas for each. So I think that that is great. My eyeshadow look speaks for itself. If you guys have any questions about this, I mean, just look. This eyeshadow look speaks for itself. So do I think it passes my test? Yes, this is definitely worth the $48 if this is something that you guys want to step out and purchase. I think it's definitely worth it. This definitely will be put into my everyday collection, I can almost guarantee it. I hope you guys enjoyed that Tati Beauty review and first impression tutorial, whatever you guys want to call this video. And I hope that maybe it made your purchasing decision a little bit easier. And if you already purchased it and you were just looking for some ideas, I hope that this makeup look inspired you just a little bit. This is definitely more on the glam side, so you can definitely tone it down a little bit, but I thought, you know what, first time, we're going to try it. We're going to see how well the shadows work. So we got to go big or go home, people. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That will be down below. And give the video a thumbs up for more reviews and first impressions. And I'm going to leave my last video right here for you guys. Definitely stay on the channel, have a couple laughs, learn a couple makeup techniques, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye, guys.